Assalamualaikum waalaikumsalam. Assalamualaikum
Waalaikumsalam.
Assalamualaikum
Waalaikumsalam.
Assalamualaikum waalaikumsalam.
Hello and welcome to a new edition of our program Peace Be Upon You, and in this edition of the program we will talk about the morals and values of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, also the way he treated the women at that time and the status of women during that period. And today we are joined by our dear guest Dr. Asmaa Elzieny. She's an academic researcher at Al-Azhar. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Dr. Asmaa, the Prophet relationship with his mother, and despite her death when he was 5 years old, was very distinguished. What did she say about her pregnancy and the birth of Prophet Muhammad and the vision she saw when she was pregnant?
Nice introduction while we are speaking about the mother of our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Her name is Amina bint Wahb, Lady Amina bint Wahb. She was from Quraysh, the biggest family in the Arabian Peninsula at that time. She was a very beautiful young lady. She got engaged to the Abdullah ibn Abdul Muttalib, the father of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And Abdullah is the son of Abdul Muttalib. Abdul Muttalib was one of the most rich people, the richest utmost of Quraysh, the biggest tribe at that time. He got like 10 boys, and he saw a dream that he is slaughtering one of his sons. Yeah.
Yes.
And it was Abdullah chosen to slaughtering Abdullah. And he was chosen to be slaughtered as a sacrifice. It was common at that time of some people who believe in Allah that they may slaughter even member family to sacrifice for the sake of Allah. And Abdullah was beloved by each and every one of his tribe. So they advised Abdul Muttalib, his father, not to slaughter his son and make like a choice between him at first and 10 camels. That he is going to slaughter 10 camels instead of sacrificing his own son. And he kept doing this choice. The choice came on Abdullah again. He tried increase the number of camels from 10 to 20. The choice again came to Abdullah. He repeated the process of choosing which one to choose, the camels or Abdullah, until the number reached 100. Then he slaughtered the camels, 100 camels, as a sacrifice instead of slaughtering his own son Abdullah. For this reason, Abdullah ibn Abdul Muttalib, the father of our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, became known as Al-Zabih. Al-Zabih means the one who is about to be slaughtered. Okay? So Amina bint Wahb was engaged as a very young lady to the very rich, handsome man, Abdullah ibn Abdul Muttalib. This marriage was so blessed.
Yes.
And they got married. Abdullah was working in trade for his father and his family. Once he got married to Amina and she became pregnant, he was traveling in a trade for his people. And while being outside of Mecca, he felt unwell. He felt sick. So everyone came back to Mecca and he stayed with his uncles. The brothers of his mom were near Medina. He stayed sick like 1 month and he died there. So our Prophet became an orphan even before he was born. Here comes the very important role that Lady Amina played in the life of our Prophet. She was telling about what happened during her pregnancy. She told us that she never felt any hardships or pain, which is very common for every pregnant woman. She said, فَمَا وَجَدْتُ مَا تَجِدُ النِّسَاء. She never felt like pain or feeling sick, not willing to eat something or something like this.
Yes.
And before the night of the birth of our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, she saw a very beautiful dream that a lightning was coming out of her, great light, to the degree that enlightened the palace around all Mecca until it reached what is known as Damascus, now known as Syria. You know, imagine how huge the light was. And they told his grandfather, Abdul Muttalib, about this very good dream, beautiful dream. He he expected that this newborn boy is going to be of a great status. And he asked her never to tell this very beautiful vision or dream to anyone else. The role of Lady Amina in his life became so important as his father died even before he was born. She was taking care of him, and sadly she died very early age of his life. She died at the age when he was about 5 or 6 years. After that, one of his servants, which was known as Ayman or Baraka, came to take care of him after the death of his mother. The love of our Prophet, peace be upon him, to his mom was very great. Until he became a prophet, he asked Allah permission to visit her grave, because she died while the Prophet was still a young child. She took him once to visit the grave of his father outside of Mecca, and again she died. It is said that she was buried near Medina, and it is said that she was buried inside Mecca. It is not sure where she was buried, but anyhow, what is sure that she died while he was so young. He felt from very early age that sadness because of the death of both his father and mother being orphan. Despite his grandfather Abdul Muttalib was taking most care of him, and Ayman and other ladies we are going to mention after that. But the love to the mom is something that is so essential in his life, to Lady Amina bint Wahb.
Talking about Ayman, can you describe his relationship with her and how she took care of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, after the death of his mother?
Ayman is known as, her original name is Baraka, and she became after that known as nickname Ayman. She was the servant of Abdullah. She was a slave. She came from Abyssinia, from what is known as Ethiopia nowadays. She was a gift from Abdul Muttalib to his son Abdullah. When he got married to Amina, she became like the servant of the newly married couples first. And after that, when Abdullah died, she was taking care of Lady Amina while being pregnant. And she witnessed what Amina said about her pregnancy and the very good vision or dream she saw before the birth of Prophet Muhammad. She was connected to him even before being born.
Yes.
She was the one who told the good news of the birth of Prophet Muhammad to his grandfather. So he made her free for this very good news on the day of birth. And she was loving immensely our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and taking care of him. It was that when he became a prophet, that he chose her to get married to his very beloved Zayd ibn Haritha. She had a very great status in his life because she took very good care of him while being so young as orphan after the death of his mom and his father, and became one of the narrators of hadith. She was among the one of the ladies among Prophet Muhammad who narrated hadith.
Yes. Can you tell us more about his relationship with the breastfeeding mother, Lady Halimah Elsadyah, and his breastfeeding sister, also Shayma?
Yes, it was among the traditions of the Arabs at that time that they, once their children were born, they leave their moms. His mom would priest him like for very short time, and he's completely taken away from his mom to the desert, so that he grows up in a very healthy atmosphere. And it's said that breastfeeding a different milk other than your mom, it gives you connection to your mom while breastfeeding, but it makes you stronger. Arab believed in this.
Yes.
Once he's taken, beside he was taken outside of his family for another purpose. Usually the people of Quraysh chose Bani Sa'd. This is a very great tribe also, for the sake of their children learn the standard Arabic.
Yes.
Bani Sa'd were people of eloquency, speaking a very eloquent Arabic. So they sent their children to be breastfed among them for these two purposes, to be healthy enough and breastfeeding, and to learn Arabic language. Look how they were very keen on teaching their children so early age, and to learn a very
The right Arabic.
authentic Arabic. Yes. For this purpose, women from Bani Sa'd, this tribe, used to come to Mecca for this purpose. They choose children to take them home to breastfeed them.
Yes.
Of course, it is normal that each one breastfeeding would like to take a rich boy. His father is alive, that for the sake that his father is going to reward her with a big amount of money. Our Prophet at that time was an orphan. His father died. So all women of Bani Sa'd came and saw the child, but they didn't agree to take him. And even at the very beginning, Lady Halimah Elsadyah saw him, but she was willing. She was so poor. She was willing that she take a very rich boy for the sake of the money of his dad. But she didn't have any child. So she thought again, I'm going to take this orphan, just for the purpose not to go back without taking a child. And she told her husband this reason. And she was telling what happened once she got our Prophet to her chest. Once she held him in her hand, she felt like a new bliss. And she was telling her husband about this. And she is telling that once he got her breast to start breastfeeding, was a big amount of milk coming out of the breast, to the degree that our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was full, and also his brother in breastfeeding was full also. And she went home. Her home was so humble. Her goats were so weak. She was telling about the blessing that came to the house once our Prophet entered the house. And she kept keeping him for years. He was, of course, each year going back to his family just to make sure that he is seeing that he is okay. She tells us about the time that our Prophet spent in her house, that she said he was growing immensely. One day is equal like a month. 1 month is equal to a year. That he was young age but grown like adult. And she was afraid. She was keeping him away from all women, not to for the sake of envy. You know, moms are afraid on their children. She became like a true mom for him. And a very important incident that happened that made her take him back to his grandfather. You know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was preparing the Prophet from the very early age to be a prophet.
Yes.
And this is one of the miracles that happened before being a prophet. That the angels came to him in the desert, and they opened his chest and took something from inside. When the process of breastfeeding our Prophet Muhammad went back home, he told his mom, Halimah Elsadyah, that he saw something so strange.
He saw him.
So the incidents. And even when our Prophet went home to his breastfeeding mom, she asked him what happened. He told her that 2 men took me quietly and nicely and made me sleep on the ground, and they opened and I felt nothing, and they took something from inside my chest. At this point, Halimah Elsadyah and her husband became like so afraid. that something wrong may happen to this their beloved child. That's why they took him back to his
After
mom.
this incident.
Yeah, this is especially what happened. Other than this reason, they would have kept him for many, many years. They took him back for grandfather. And she is always, it is mentioned that the years were full of blessings. And again, Halimah Elsadyah went back to our Prophet while being married to Lady Khadija, even before Prophet Hud. She was so poor, and she came to ask him for something to live on. And he asked Lady Khadija to provide her with money and food and everything, even before being a prophet, because he was loving her as his true mom. Again, she came and became a Muslim after being a prophet. And also he provided her with money and things to all her tribe as a blessing of being his
So she lived until Prophet Muhammad
and she
became a prophet.
She became a Muslim from the very early Muslims, and even it is mentioned that she may be witnessed the Hijrah. She lived very long after that. And his sister again, Al-Shayma, she was known as Al-Shayma, also witnessed him as being a prophet, and was so proud that her half-brother or brother of breastfeeding became the prophet of the whole nation. And she visited him more than once.
So she is the daughter of Halimah Elsadyah.
She's known as Al-Shayma. She has another name, but his nickname was Al-Shayma. And she visited Prophet Muhammad while being a prophet more than once.
Dear viewers, a short break and we'll be back, so stay tuned.
وما أرسلناك إلا رحمة للعالمين.
In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most compassionate. And we have not sent you except as a mercy to the worlds. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, act kindly towards women. Al-Bukhari and Muslim. In this hadith, he was referring to women in general, as wives, mothers, daughters, and female relatives. Abu Huraira narrated that the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, a believer must not hate his wife. If he dislikes one of her characteristics, he will be pleased with another. Moreover, the Prophet, peace be upon him, evaluated a man according to how he treated his wife, because she is the closest person to him. The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, the best of you are those who are the best to their wives, and I am the best to mine.
Assalamu alaikum wa alaikum salam.
Welcome back, dear viewers, and we are still hosting Dr. Asmaa Elzieny, an academic researcher at Al-Azhar, and she is talking to us about Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and the way he treated his wives. Yes, Dr.
I'm truly honored and pleased to continue our speech about the life of our Prophet Muhammad and how he treated women, especially wives and daughters at that time.
If we move to his relationship with Lady Khadija, how did it start and how did it end with marriage? Can you tell us more about this and how he treated her at that time?
Truly, the relationship between our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and Lady Khadija is something amazing. Look at a very famous rich lady of Quraysh.
Yes.
She was married twice, and she inherited a very big fortune from her previous husbands. And she was having, she had like at that time a huge trade. She used it to hire people to trade for her. She was,
Yes.
was not normal that she by herself can manage all this huge trade. Our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was one among the people she hired for her trade. Once he went out trading for her, she sent her, of course she heard about his good manners and character before hiring him. But working with her was another experience. For the sake of knowing, is it true that he has a special character, special manners, she sent especially her servant, Maysara, a boy called a servant called Maysara. She sent him especially accompanying Prophet Muhammad in each movement he do, everywhere he goes, whatever he does. And Maysara was so honest while telling Lady Khadija about what happened while they were traveling. He told her a very strange incident, that he saw a cloud in the sky. moving with the Prophet. Whenever he moves,
Yes.
it moves. Whenever he stands,
Of sheltering him.
yes, taking care of him out of the sun, against the sun. And this was so strange incidents. Lady Khadija started to think, he is going to be important in this nation. She didn't know for sure he is going to be a prophet, but she
she felt
expected.
he is different.
Yeah, and his very good manners, being honest with people, is what it was not very common at that time that people tell the truth. They are traders, they may tell lies, they may cheat, something like this. That's why she started to consider, although she got like many marriage proposals from very rich, very famous men of Christ, but she started to consider that Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, going to marry her one day. And even she talked with one of her friends, her own friends, to ask Muhammad who is not getting married. And the lady was honest, and she went to Prophet Muhammad. This is how the relation changed from just being working together to that kind of very strong relation, marriage relation. The lady went to Muhammad, peace be upon him, and asked him, why you are not getting married? He told her, I'm not rich enough to get married. And she asked, if you are, it is not a burden, money was not an issue, for example, are you going to get married? And he said, yes. He asked her whom I should be marrying, and she told him the name of Lady Khadija. This was like a small indication that if you propose for her, she's going to accept. And yes, he went to his uncle and asked him to propose for Lady Khadija, and it became the very great marriage between him and Lady Khadija. Out of this marriage, all children of our Prophet are from our sons and daughters of Lady Khadija, except for Ibrahim, who was a son of Maria, the Coptic Maria, Egyptian Coptic Maria.
Submission, faith and patience, you conveyed the noble message, brought us light through your guidance. Peace be upon you, my beloved, Ya Habibi, Ya Muhammad.
It's worth mentioning that Prophet Muhammad did not marry any other woman while Lady Khadija was alive, and when he got married after her death, he was trying to find another woman to take care of his kids. Can you tell us more about this?
Lady Khadija was older in age, which is something so strange. It's not very common at all that a man accepts to marry a woman older than him. She got married before him twice. She had children from both marriages. He was poor, she was rich. He was still not, what we could say, having complete identity, like he's not a prophet at that time, not a big businessman.
Yes.
But he accepted the marriage because he knew that a character like Lady Khadija is someone who is going to appreciate these differences. And he was wise enough also, our Prophet, peace be upon him, to value her to a degree. As you said, despite these differences of marriage, the age and status and richness and everything, he never got married again while being alive. She had children, and she was taking care of other children. In a narration, it was mentioned that she was bringing up at her home like more than 12 children. She took care of her own previous children from previous marriages, and our Prophet was taking care of his cousin Ali ibn Abi Talib. In addition to the 6 boys and girls they got together. The house was full of children, and Zayd ibn Haritha also was brought up in the house like one of the children. A very big house like this full of children, but still at that time our Prophet had a chance to do contemplation. You know that he used to go to Ghar Hira each year, leaving all the children and have the quietness. One of the hadiths came that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is rewarding Lady Khadija with a palace in paradise, built from jewelries and things like this. And they asked why especially a palace inside paradise, and it is described in details. Some scholars explain that this is a reward that she made the house, her own simple house in this dunya, like a place suitable for our Prophet to live his life quietly. In the hadith, قصر من قصب لا صخب فيه ولا نصب, without any noise. You know, the reward is like the kind of the same work she did.
So this is a message to all women also.
Yes,
try
this
to
is
keep homes as quiet as possible.
Yes. And the relationship, this is a role model for each husband and wife. We still can have differences, but we still can live happily.
سيدنا محمد رسول الله عليها نحيا وعليها نموت وعليها وبها نبعث إن شاء الله. عفوك ورضاك يا عفوك ورضاك وحسن لقاك يا رب. كل القلوب إلى الحبيب تميل كل القلوب إلى الحبيب تميل ومعي بهذا شاهد ودليل. أما الدليل إذا ذكرت محمدا سارت دموع العاشقين تسيل.
Finally, I'd like to thank you, Dr. Asmaa Elzieny, an academic researcher at Al-Azhar. Thank you, Asmaa, for being with us today.
It's always a pleasure.
By that, dear viewers, we come to the end of today's edition of our program, Peace Be Upon You. Thank you for watching. Until we meet you again, it's goodbye.
Assalamualaikum wa alaikum salam.